Hey, welcome back to the Questions About Life podcast. I'm Brian Fleming.
And I'm Daniel Broome.
And today we're talking about, we weren't really sure what we were going to talk about, but we were just out here in the other room playing a guitar. He brought his electric guitar over. I had my acoustic. I'm brand new to playing guitar, and I was with the organization called Creative Vets up in Nashville a few months back, earlier this year, and I co-wrote a song called Walked Through Hell. It's about my life story, but it's also about your life story. In fact, if you go on YouTube or Spotify or any of these Google Play, this store or whatever you call it, if you type in the name Walked Through Hell and then Creative Vets, so it's the word creative with ETS on the end, Creative Vets, veterans, Walked Through Hell, Creative Vets. Well, I've been learning how to play that this week, my own song, on the acoustic. Well, Daniel brought over his electric guitar, so we're going to see how it sounds on that, and it sounds rocking. It sounds awesome. And so, yeah, this is something brand new to me, though. I know you have experience playing guitar. I have zero, and it's been fun. I had to overcome this little hump of this learning bell curve over the past few months where I thought I was just going to be like, I'm more of a writer, not so much a guitar player. I'm more of a songwriter. In fact, I'm addicted to it now. But I've sort of gotten past that in learning my song. And then you also just taught me the opening to a Pink Floyd song, which is one of my favorite bands of all time. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the hardest part I've been playing guitar for like probably 30 years or something, but I play like I've been playing for 2 years. So,
okay.
Yeah. But
been doing it for 5, but I got the experience of a 2-year.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know that and a lot of that is because like I'm not constantly playing. You know, I'll take months or maybe even years off from playing and then get back to it. And I know that like one of the biggest challenges of getting started or getting back on it is toughening up your fingers.
Yeah.
Because you can play for 5 minutes if you don't have the calluses on your fingers. And you're done playing because it's like that's all my fingers can take.
I've noticed as I've been playing a lot lately, I'll then be typing on my computer doing work.
Yeah.
And I'll mess up the keys because I sort of don't feel the button as much as I normally do.
Yeah, starting to callus. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool, man. It's fun because we didn't plan this stuff. Before we turn on the cameras, we were like, "You got a topic? No. Do you? No. Okay. Well, let's just figure something out." But it's a good one. Is learning to play an instrument, learning to play guitar or something.
Learning new things in general.
Yeah, I wrote a blog about this like 6 years ago on my music page. There's a lot of benefits to it. Like they recommend it to older people. It helps prevent Alzheimer's.
What, playing an instrument, learning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just like the same intent of like how old people it's like they do crossword puzzles or they play like games, like card games and stuff. Just kind of keeps your mind active.
Keeps your brain active, doing things. Yeah.
Yeah, that same thing, like learning a new skill. It doesn't have to be music, but learning something new that's completely unfamiliar is super healthy.
Yeah,
super healthy for you. Yeah.
Wonder why people don't learn new things.
People don't. I think people don't like to be. No, a lot of people are not willing to look like a fool temporarily.
That's a good point.
Right? You got to be willing to learn new things. You have to be willing to look foolish in the beginning.
Just don't be doing it for 10 years and look like a fool.
Well,
or you're just really bad and you should do something else.
Don't play for 30 years and sound like, Brian's already almost on my level of guitar playing. So. But the other, specifically to learning music, everybody's got their thing, right? Like music is one of my favorite things ever. It saved my life on a number of occasions. Everybody loves music on different levels, but music really resonates with me. But in addition to learn just the simple thing of learning a new skill, also it's therapeutic in the sense where I can't count how many times where I've had like a really stressful day, or everything seems to be falling apart around me. We all have those ups and downs in lives, or you're just overwhelmed. There's nothing like music, first of all, to get you out of that, but it's times 10 when it's you that's playing the music,
Like
so
creating
you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Even if you're not creating it, even if you're playing a song that you like or something.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Like you're making the sound.
Yeah, you have a closer connection to it because you can play it however you want. You can play it how you feel.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good point because you can play it how you feel. I've noticed there's been a number of songs over the past few years that they're old songs, but people recreated them in a different way. Like the one "Sound of Silence," the old one.
Hello, yeah, they turned into a heavy metal song.
Now I forget the band, but it used to be "Hello," wasn't it Simon and Garfunkel? I think "Hello, darkness, my old friend." It was really kind of upbeat and fast. Now it's "Hello, darkness, my old friend." It's kind of Eeyore, kind of depressed.
Yeah.
Sound of silence, and it's like it's the same song, same words, completely different feel. You feel different. It sounds different. It's they did it with that one. There's been a number. I think there's only a few that were remakes that were done that way, that they really pulled off, and I think that was one of them. They did pretty good with.
Are you familiar with? I agree. Are you familiar with the classic "Lollipop" by Lil Wayne?
Classic "Lollipop." Lil Wayne. I don't think I listened much to Lil Wayne, so probably not. I may have heard it though. But what do they do?
I could play it for you now, but it would probably mess with some copyright stuff. Lollipop.
Yeah.
Lollipop.
I'll listen to it
Wayne.
afterward.
You know "Lollipop" by Lil Wayne?
If I heard it, I'd probably know it.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you would because it was a huge hit. But a rock and roll band, I don't know if they're rock and roll, heavy metal, or what you call them, hard rock, whatever, redid the song as a rock song, and I think it sounds better as a rock song than it as a rap song.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hit or miss. But there's been a lot of examples like that. Like Metallica did Bob Seger's "On the Road Again."
Yeah, they killed that one.
That's a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah, I think so sometimes they improve the song, but sometimes it's like, come on, man, the original's better.
Yeah, there's a lot of butcher stories, but there's a handful of good ones like that one.
Yeah.
Dude, there's this little girl. I don't remember her name right now, but she's on YouTube. Little blonde hair girl, about 4 foot tall, probably 11. Mm-hmm. She's singing like Korn.
Nice.
And her siblings are in there, like her brother and sister, in their garage with like bass guitars, drums. And she's just yelling into the mic. And this girl's all in. She's like, it's like a female Slipknot singer who's like a cute little blonde-haired 11-year-old girl, but she's all into it. She has like millions of views on her stuff, and she is like, that girl's going places, and she actually has a real good voice. Like, she has it.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see where she goes in life if she sticks with music. But even hearing a kid like that sing it, it's almost laughable, comical, because it's funny seeing a kid do it, but then you're equally impressed at how good it sounds.
Yeah. Well, there's that Instagram page. It's called Kids Who Rock.
She's probably on there.
You follow that? Yeah. I love when I come across one of their posts because, like you said, you come across like a 12-year-old or something, and they're killing it.
Yeah.
There's this local pizza place in McKinney, Calax Pizza.
I've been there. They play music there.
Yeah, they do open mic. It used to be they did open mic on Thursdays, then they moved it to Wednesdays. I don't know when they do it now, but I've been in there for open mic before, and kids would get up and it's like, why isn't this person famous? They're up there just shredding on the guitar, It's like, where'd
this kid come from? Like, why have I never heard of this kid? Yeah.
Yeah. But what's interesting about that is like, it's kind of like language. Kids, the younger you are, the easier it is to learn a new language. I think the same applies to music.
Like our
music
learning
is
rate,
a language.
Capacity to learn, picking up quicker.
Yeah.
Like as we get older, it kind of slows down. You can still do it, but you might have to work harder.
More challenging,
Like learning Spanish when you're 5 as opposed to 35.
Yeah.
Or something, yeah.
I was actually a fluent Spanish speaker when I was 5. It's funny to use that example. Yeah,
you're from Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a fluent Spanish speaker. Our next door neighbor, which is also our family friend, which is also one of my dad's employees, the woman used to babysit my sister and I. and she didn't speak Spanish. They're from Mexico, or she didn't speak English. They're from Mexico, and so my sister and I learned Spanish the same way we learned English. It was just like, yeah, she just kept talking to us in Spanish, and we started talking back gradually. I was gonna say one day.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when we didn't need a babysitter anymore, we just kind of stopped using it.
Yeah, you didn't have that immersion. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did have the immersion, and then I got
afterwards.
Yeah. Then I got removed from it. I think we moved or something, but it's nice. It's still I'm far from being fluent now, but it's nice because I still look for keywords and I can kind of understand what people are talking about. If they say something like, "Let's get that white dude," I know to run.
Yeah,
like,
gringo.
I heard that.
You hear gringo, gringo baño. It's like they're talking about me.
Yeah, I think that's me.
You know what's funny? I went to high school in South Florida, like my North Miami area, and I went from being in a place like in Southern Michigan where we had like 99% white at my school, and there's like one black kid. I moved down there. I was one of like 20 or 30 white kids in like a graduating class of 450 or something. Yeah. And it was funny because most people live in Florida. They don't tend to be from there. They came from everywhere.
Cuba, Dominican Republic, places like that.
So it was funny. All my native Spanish-speaking friends were failing our Spanish class. And here I am brand new, and I'm like acing it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like my Mexican, Puerto Rican friends, Central American, South American friends who they speak Spanish, it was always funny because I had a couple of Cuban friends. Mm-hmm. And even the native Spanish speakers from these other countries, I'm like, hey, what's Andy saying right there? Because I have a friend named Andy. He was Cuban. And he would talk so fast in Spanish. Even my native Spanish-speaking friends are like, I don't know what the hell he just said.
Yeah.
They're like, Cuban people, they're like, and this is them, not me. They said Cuban people tend to talk really, really, really fast in Spanish, faster than people from other Spanish-speaking countries. And I just thought it was funny. Like, wait, this is your native language. You don't know what he said?
Yeah.
Like, you could speak English really fast and I would know.
Sure.
But they were like, wait, what did he say? Like, they'd have to listen closer because he's just like rattling it off. And of course, the other Cubans, they got it. They knew, but
yeah. Well, there's different dialects too within Spanish.
There
Spanish
can be
language. Yeah, like
Mexico versus Spain.
Yeah,
or something.
Or versus Cuba or Puerto Rico. There's various. It's kind of like if a guy from New York City talked to a guy from the country in Louisiana. It's like, I don't know what you're saying, man.
Guy from New York is talking to one of the gator hunters or whatever. Where's it the guy? What was that TV show? That guy would shoot gators with his rifle in the boat, and then he'd jump in the water and get them. Or one of the Duck Dynasty guys.
Oh, Duck Dynasty, yeah. I was trying. That's what I thought you were talking about, Duck Dynasty.
No, there's Duck Dynasty, but what was that called? It was that I forget the name, but yeah, it was like this hillbilly dude, and he'd go out and he'd like lure the crocs in. Mm-hmm. And he'd shoot him with a rifle from the boat, and he'd grab him, and try to get him in the boat. Really nuts, yeah. But you couldn't understand a word he was saying, and he was speaking English, yeah.
Yeah, I'm dealing with some folks in Louisiana right now on some business stuff, and
that's right, yeah.
And I had to bring in because I between my partner and I'm more of the talker, the salesman, or what have you. So we agreed that I'd call. The guy we're buying some property in Louisiana, and I called the guy, and I only understood about half of what he said.
His name was Bobby Boucher, right?
His name is Jerome,
the water boy,
and I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's real French.
French Cajun, something like that. Yeah, probably ends in an EUAX or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I had to I got through that phone call, and I was just like, I got to get my partner on the line because he's from that area, and he speaks Cajun, which is just a different dialect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're here in Texas. Neither one of us are native Texan.
No.
You're from Michigan originally. Michigan and Florida. I grew up in Arizona. We're here. We've both been here in Texas for several years, and I've always wondered. Our audience, if anybody watches this, they can tell us. I always wondered if I have developed like a Texas draw, if I talk like I'm from Texas now, because I've been here for 15 years or something like that.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
I don't think you do. I think there's something interesting about that because my wife is from here, like Fort Worth, But whenever she gets around certain friends of hers, that we get out to East Texas, her southern drawl goes way high, super thick.
Turns on,
like
yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Now she already has an accent. I remember when we first met, we were talking on the phone. We met by email online back in the day. But I asked her in an email, hey, do you have one of those Texas accents? And she writes back in the email, no, I don't. We got on the phone. She's like, hi, how are you? Or I'm like, you totally have a Texas accent. But my point is, she's never lost that. Now I'm from Michigan, so I don't talk like I'm from Texas. I don't think I've developed that. And I know people who, I was talking to someone the other day, they're from New York City. So they got a real New York sound, and they lived in Texas for like 20, 25 years. They still sound like they're from New York, but they grew up there.
Yeah.
So I think like how their foundation, maybe with how they talk,
Holds more weight.
kind of. Whereas if they'd have moved here when they were young and grew up here, but then again, my daughter talks like my wife. She doesn't say hair; she says hayer. Ice cream and hayer. I'm just like hair. Ice cream.
That sounds like something out of a Ludacris song.
Yeah, probably. But then my son, who's almost 14 at this point, he talks like me. He doesn't sound like he's from Texas at all. But they both lived here most of their lives.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, everybody's different, right? I wonder what causes that.
Maybe my daughter relates more to my wife because they're both female. And maybe my boy maybe takes more after me because he, as he grows into a man, maybe he wants to talk more like dad or picks up more on it. I don't know.
More of like a role model thing, yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, it's hard to say, man. Hard to say. I noticed because, so as you know, my wife's Vietnamese. English is her second language, and she's come a long way. We've been married for 12 years. She's come a long way in that 12 years as far as her vocabulary, her English vocabulary, and ability to express herself in English and everything like that. But I noticed that, she still has. You can tell that you can still sometimes tell that the way that she, the order she puts words in and stuff like that, that she's not a native English speaker, and I've taken on some of those traits because I spend so much time with her.
Oh, you'll start saying it like her?
Saying it the way that she says it, yeah.
Okay.
And
instead of the red car, it's like in Spanish, if you say the red car, you're actually saying the car red. The adjective and the
noun goes first.
Is reversed, but then in English, it's the red car.
Yep.
Is it that? So it's that kind of thing, even with Vietnamese.
It's that way in Vietnamese as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's real. So like, I'm just laughing because this is related to pronouns.
My pronouns are the, she, it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
the she, it.
In English, if I identify as a man, which I do, I only have so many pronouns, right? It's like him, he, you, whatever. But in Vietnamese, there's a hierarchy. So if you're younger than me, I'll address you differently than if you're the same age as me, differently than if you were slightly older than me, different than if you were my parents' age,
like
different than
if
you were my grandmother's age, and also
status maybe.
Yeah, well, like for example, if you're older than me and we're friends, you may call me friend, or you may call me the respectful way of somebody that's
like Daniel, sir, or Daniel,
right?
Or hey, Danny versus hey, Mr. Broome. Like,
kind of
the difference in those maybe. Okay.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
Like for example, friend is Bon, and if you're younger than me, I'll call you M. If you're older than me, I'll call you An. If you're a lot older than me, I'll call you something else. And so that part makes me nervous because I don't want to mess it up when I'm talking to some Vietnamese people.
Yeah, like calling like in Spanish, like mujer for a woman. Accidentally calling her niña, which means like little girl, or something like that. You don't want to like accidentally use this lower one for this higher status and be seen as disrespectful.
I don't want to disrespect them.
Yeah.
But also, let's say that you're my customer, right? And in this example, I'm older than you. So if we were friends, you would address me in a more respectful way because I'm older than you. But since you're my customer, you have a higher status than I do, so it gets reversed. I start addressing you in a respectful
With
way
a higher
because you're
status.
my customer.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Because you want them to feel the most respected and
It's like
you know,
calling your customer sir or ma'am.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you want them to buy, so you want them to feel respected and helped, and yeah, good relationship. Okay.
Yeah, but my wife has friends that are 2 years older than she is, and she addresses them and appropriately, and they address her.
So it's like, so they address each other differently based on the 2 year difference.
Yeah.
Oh,
even though they went to college together and been friends for years.
Yeah.
It's still that dynamic.
Wow, even 2 years difference. Okay, like because I remember when I lived in South Korea, like the old ladies, they were called ajima.
Okay.
Ajima, I think was Adashi was like the old guy, if I remember correctly. So like if you say, oh yeah, Ajima, she's down there selling bulgogi, tacos, and Ajima will immediately oh, it's an older Korean lady, either cutting hair, selling bulgogi tacos, or whatever. But yeah, I remember that. So what you just said reminded me of that, because you wouldn't say Ajima for like a younger lady.
Sure.
That would be like calling her, "Hey, old woman."
Yeah.
Or referring to her like a 25-year-old girl or a lady, like she's a grandmother or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and then to your point, Spanish is similar. Like some women you address as señora, and others as señorita, or niña, like you said,
or niña for like a little kid. Yeah.
There's probably some fluent Spanish speakers looking at this, like, you
Correcting
guys
us.
have no idea what you're talking about.
As far as I can tell.
And we don't.
And I'm not a fluent Spanish speaker. Well, I can if I have to, but it's not like I do that every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I did take 3 years of Spanish in high school, which surprisingly I can't believe how much of that I've retained over the years, and like almost all my friends were Spanish speakers, so like I kind of had a little bit of immersion there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have to use it very often.
And then here's another one, man. So there was a time when my wife and I first got married that I was dedicated. I was going to learn I was going to become a fluent Vietnamese speaker.
How'd that work out for you?
It's harder than I mean, learning the language by itself is hard enough.
Okay.
But here are some of the challenges I ran into. I invested in Rosetta Stone. I was spending about an hour a day on Rosetta Stone. I was getting really good. Getting really good.
Dedicated.
Yeah, and I was speaking pretty fluently. I could hold a conversation and stuff. And then as I started talking to, with my wife and things, and as I started talking to other Vietnamese folks, particularly older Vietnamese folks, I started getting, I could tell they were uncomfortable.
Oh.
Very uncomfortable with, at first it's kind of novel, like, oh, check it out, he speaks Vietnamese. But then the more we talked, the more uncomfortable, and the more I could tell that they didn't like hearing me speak Vietnamese.
Oh.
And I started looking into it, and I realized,
hey, Trent, what am I doing?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was the pronoun thing, maybe.
Yeah.
But
the hierarchy,
Yeah, but it wasn't. What it was, and this is kind of related to something that we talked about in previous episodes, where history is written by the victors. The northern Vietnamese dialect is different from the southern Vietnamese dialect.
Was Rosetta Stone teaching the other one?
Well, yeah, because when Rosetta Stone approached Vietnam and said, "Hey, help us put this program together," the communist northern folks were like, here's the language.
When it ended, they took everything.
Yeah, so I was speaking.
And your wife was from Southern.
Yeah. Almost every Vietnamese person you meet in the United States is Southern Vietnamese.
Yeah, they got out of there.
Yeah, so
okay.
So it was turning a lot of people off. So I said, okay.
So you were talking like the communist people that took them over.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was making people uncomfortable.
That would be like a German speaking a Nazi dialect to like a Jewish family or something like.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
your
like,
oppressor. Yeah.
Oh wow! I wouldn't even thought of that.
Yeah, and so I said, okay, to heck with this Rosetta Stone.
I need to unlearn Rosetta Stone Vietnamese.
Yeah. And so I enrolled in a college course, like Vietnamese 1 or whatever, a language course
taught by a South Vietnamese or
the local community college. So I enroll. Yes, she was South Vietnamese.
Okay.
Yeah. I made sure.
Check
I made
that
sure.
out, yeah.
Are you South Vietnamese? Is she from South Vietnamese? Yes. Okay, great. So I go and I'm going to give this class everything that I got, right? Well, this lady is very passionate about her country, which is great. Like, oh, this is awesome. She's very passionate about her country.
Yeah.
And the only thing first day she went around and gave us all Vietnamese names. I was like, okay, this is fun.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah.
And then we didn't learn any language after that. The entire rest of the class was propaganda
Re-education?
about why the North is bad for taking over the South. I mean, she had us watching documentaries and then writing papers about these documentaries.
Okay.
She would just get up there and she was a political activist.
I thought you were going to say it was like North Vietnamese re-education, but in a classroom setting, but it was the opposite.
No,
It was from the South Vietnamese end about why the North was bad. Okay.
Exactly. And I didn't learn any language from all I learned was my Vietnamese name.
Not that she was wrong about her views or anything, which who could blame her?
Yeah.
You just didn't learn the language that you went there to learn.
Not at all.
It was more of a
I was writing papers on why the North is bad.
Yeah, that's not why you went. Yeah, in English, obviously. So yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I guess it's human nature because the northern Vietnamese people aren't inherently bad. You could argue that the government was, so yeah.
I figure they just want to survive and live their lives like we do, but it's governments that get into stuff. It's people in power that screw it all up for everybody.
Yeah.
Typically.
Different views on the way countries should be run, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds familiar. Happening around here lately, for sure. Oh, my gosh.
And the dumbest things, too. Man, I don't watch the news often. I stay informed, so I'm not ignorant, but I'm not one of these people that turns on the news when I get up at 6:30 in the morning and I don't watch it before I go to bed. I'm not I'm a business guy. I'm living my life. Yeah. I'm going on vacations. I'm speaking. I'm writing. I'm doing things.
Yeah.
But man, it blows my mind some of the stuff people argue and the stuff that gets thrown in the pot to like set ablaze for everyone to see in the media.
Mm-hmm.
I just think to myself like that. Why would that be a big issue? Like, why is that? I mean, like you figure our baseline of concern about things in life would have to do with our survival. Now, I think in America we have it so good. We don't think a lot about our survival. Like you and I don't have to go out and hunt today, or our families won't have dinner tonight.
Right.
Like we don't have to do that anymore. There was a time we did.
Yeah.
But we're so damn comfortable in America where we're not always thinking about survival 24/7 because I got like 2 or 3 grocery stores within 5 minutes of here.
Mm-hmm.
You just go down, get what you want, come back. So it's like if we're not having to survive and put our energy into that, well, what are we putting it into? If you're not busy building a business or you hate your job and you're bored and you're doing other things, I think as people, when we get too bored, we just find things to complain and bitch about. Yeah. And then we make people mad about it, and then other people get mad on the other end, and then you got people yelling at each other, and then people feel like they have a sense of purpose, and those who don't, they want to jump on a bandwagon because they want to be a part of something because they feel empty in life, like they don't have a purpose. And I don't know, this is just my thoughts. It's like, and then it just like steamrolls everything.
Yeah, I agree, man. There's a lot at play there. It's like because like you said, if we're thirsty, we just go turn on the faucet and get some water. We don't have to go find walk miles and get water and hold
clean water at that.
So everything's a lot more convenient for us, but we're still wired for conflict. We're still wired.
Yeah.
Because that's the way the human race has survived over time. But also, in addition to all of that, which is definitely a factor, I think in addition to all that, there's too much money involved. So you mentioned the news earlier.
Oh, yeah.
The news, CNN, Fox News, all of them, MSNBC, CBS, NBC, all of them, they are for-profit corporations. Yeah. Their number one priority by law is they're responsible to their shareholders. They're responsible to make a profit. They're not putting this information out because they're passionate about informing people.
No,
they're putting the information out because they want you to watch the commercials. And that made me laugh. Brian's phone rang, and the caller ID on it said "scam likely."
Yeah, and it almost always is. Yeah. It's either that or Russia calling me. Yeah. Putin has my number for some reason.
I got a call from Russia the other day too.
Yeah. The hump on me, commie bastards.
Yeah. So money is so the news is just reporting what's going to keep you watching.
Yeah.
And then and getting people riled up and upset about things is going to keep them watching. And then on top of that, we have so much money in politics. There's so much incentive. Like, you can't be a politician without raising millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
There has to be
so
a
much
problem.
money, lobbyists, and all of that.
There has to be a problem that you stand for and something you stand against. And the thing with the media, if Fox News is outdoing MSNBC or CNN, CNN now has to trump that, no pun intended. They have to do better than that to grab all the attention and eyes back on them. Mm-hmm. And then Fox has to do that to them to grab the eyes back. And the best way to do that is creating controversy and mayhem and problems and just all out, straight out insanity.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no end to the like adding to the block. You know, adding to this, it's like a building that never gets stopped being built upward.
Yeah. And it's also what keeps the government in power, too, because
people believe what they hear, too.
You're never going to turn on the news. You're never going to turn on the news and they're going to go, hey, welcome to our news program. Just so happens everything's going pretty well today. Weather's great. The stock market's doing good. We don't really have any bad news to give you. So we're
99% of cops aren't racist, and if you're white, you're not a criminal for being born. Which yeah.
But
we can't say any of that. Like, hey, the average white person, they'll be nice to you. The average black person, they'll be nice to me.
Yeah,
the average cop is probably okay.
Go outside and talk to your neighbors. And that's part of what helps keep the government in power, because if there's no problems, if they're not working on any problems, then we don't need them, right? So there's always got to be a crisis. If there's no crisis, then there's nobody coming to save us. There's nobody, so with every crisis, it's kind of like, well, the government needs to do something about it. So that sort of
where's that mentality come from? The government has to do something about it. Like, oh, we wouldn't do something. What? We think the government's going to. The government does what makes money and gives power. That's all they do. They don't care about you. They don't care about me.
So that's why I think that's part of why a lot of these crises get so exaggerated sometimes. I mean,
there's been how many? I started keeping track earlier this year. I think about 3 months ago, I just lost track. But I think I was on like the 7th crisis of this year.
Oh yeah, that's never gonna end.
Yeah, I was just tracking it like what day this one happened, and then that one, and then it's like you can just look at it and go, oh, these are all 23 crises that they created in 2022 at the end of the year. Yeah. And like, wow, I wonder what the next one will be. There was COVID stuff, and that was the past couple of years. Then there was there was BLM stuff, cop stuff. There's the Russia thing. I mean, I've lost track. There's just so many. And I look at all that, and I'm thinking to myself, how is any of this doing any good for the average person? Like, for me, it just, if I was in power, anytime you're in power of anybody, you should be making sure that people are productive and taken care of. Mm-hmm. It's like, as a leader in the military, if you got a squad of 6 people under you, you got to make sure that, hey, are they taken care of? Are they okay? They have what they need?
Yeah.
And are they being productive? Not just handing out by taking care of. I don't mean that, but you have to look out for people, but also, are they being productive? Are they equipped for the mission they're on? Mm-hmm. Politics, it's like, it just seems like, hey, here's what we want. Let's step on anybody to get it. We don't care. It's just this free-for-all circus of the nothingness and just a dog eating dog. Like, and it just, to me, it's like, it doesn't even make sense for me to do that to people. But I mean, I'm not a saint, but that would never occur to me. But I look at some of these issues and I'm like, what is this even doing for anybody? If anything, it's just making life harder for the average person in a lot of ways. I mean,
that's my point. Yeah. Is that's the goal. Their goal isn't to isn't to like make our lives better. Their goal is to create scenarios where we feel like we need somebody to do something about it, and that's validates their position.
Well, and if life gets so hard because they make it so hard that you can't financially get by, but then the government comes along and goes, hey, we got this program for you. We'll give you just enough to keep your head above water. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you're trying to turn into a socialist or communist country, that's a way to do it. But I mean, my whole thing is if I can teach you how to do what I do and do better for your family, like that's a win. I grew up around manipulative, lying people, horrible people, and I always thought to myself, like, I would never want to abuse and control my spouse. Like, I watched family members who were always, looking at their spouse. What are you doing? Who are you talking to? Who are you with? Why are you back 1 minute late? Literally 1 minute late. You didn't. And I'm thinking, like, how much work that would take to try to control every aspect of another person's life.
Yeah, that's too much.
It sounds miserable,
Yeah.
but people do it. So they must get some sort of complete sense of purpose or meaning, or I don't know. Maybe they're just so messed up in the head that trying to control other people is all that gives them happiness or fulfillment. I don't know. To me, it sounds like a ton of work, and why would I want to control you anyway?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I have a better time hanging out with my wife or like hanging out with you, and it's like, yeah, what are you up to?
Yeah.
What are you getting off the menu at the Mexican restaurant? I'll get what I want and get what you want, obviously. It's not, why would I say, like, no, Jamie, you can only get that to my wife. You can only get that, or you have to, I don't know, like, it just, controlling people just, it sounds like way too much work. I'm not lazy. It just sounds like a lot of unnecessary work.
Yeah, it sounds like too much, man. It's like people that have like 2 wives or something. It's like, man, I already have enough wives. I don't need 2. I'm happily married, by the way, but
You don't want 2 of them.
I want all my energy going into, yeah. I think, I don't know. I'm not a psychotherapist, but I think that one of the reasons that a lot of people like to control their spouse or something, it's a lack of self-esteem on their part, right? They're
Probably
they're paranoid that I'm not good enough for her, so she's probably gonna go cheat on me, so I gotta keep tabs and make sure
she's not,
gets home on time, and I gotta know where she is.
You know what's funny about a lot of dudes in particular I've known like that, who have been so on it, accusing their wives, not every guy, but I've known a number of them, the ones who are that way, like you're saying, the most paranoid about being cheated on, they were cheaters. They were literally, like, I don't know if you call it like gaslighting or whatever. They were accusing their wives and making their life hard for accusing them of doing the thing that they were doing.
Yeah.
Even though the wife wasn't doing it, they were putting it on her, like accusing her doing the thing. But he was the real culprit because he was doing the thing that he was badgering her about.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cheater. What do you like? Okay, you're a cheater. What, are you afraid of being cheated on? Like you don't like your own medicine? You don't.
Yeah.
Like, how does this even work, hypocrite?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's I agree though, dude. That's got to be a tough way to live your life, trying to control somebody. But then you look at some, like, that's a fetish for some people, right? Like, there are some men that
dominating, controlling,
that enjoy that part, and then there are also some, not all, there are some women that enjoy being dominated and controlled, and
well, I think they feel safe and protected if someone's taking care of them, or they feel like they have a place where they're protected. And I know naturally, to an extent, the female race, likes a feeling of security and protection. Maybe it plays into that. And maybe they're willing to put up with his domineering abusiveness,
knowing that he's in control.
And in exchange for the sense of safety or security, where she's not going to be out on the street, so she maybe it's a little give and take in exchange, until it gets too extreme and she either gets hurt or killed or something. Which, in the worst case scenario, that happens.
Yeah. Different. People are all across the spectrum, and I guess it all just kind of depends on our life experiences, our genetic makeup, and all of that, right? That's what makes life fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if people are doing that in a healthy way, and that's what fulfills them and they enjoy, then I got no problem with it. I don't want a part of it, but if you want to do that, go ahead. If
that's their game, then like, hey, that's their game, whatever.
Yeah, there's some things that I do that other people might not like, but.
Or like if you grew up seeing only one way, like if you grew up in a community where mainly you saw men mistreating women, and you wouldn't think to know another way, as a guy, or if the girl's growing up in that, oh, that's just how men treat women.
Mm-hmm. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's how you always saw it. Like, and
Yeah.
until you saw something different. I mean, I think there's something in all of us, people with a conscience at least, where you go, yeah, I don't know, that's not right. He shouldn't be punching his wife. Like, that's a no for me, dog. You know,
Yeah.
and like, you know, like, we need to take 4 or 5 dudes and drag you out in the woods and beat your ass. That way you know what it feels like. Then he's less likely to do it again.
Yeah.
Because there's consequence. And he goes, oh, that hurts. Maybe I shouldn't do that to the lady half my size who I'm supposed to love.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I think it's, you know, life experience, genetics probably have a variable or a factor to play in it, but also just what we saw modeled for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's like I think a common statistically, most domestic abusers are people that were abused when they were younger. So there's some trauma and pain with that, you know, that comes
Trauma
along with
gets
that.
passed on.
And they're just you know, misery loves company. And so you know, just kind of pass that pain on to somebody else.
Or they didn't learn any coping mechanisms to deal with it that they didn't see modeled. And so they saw this is how all the guys I grew up around take it out. And so that's how I take it out.
Yeah.
And it's really like a non-thinking excuse for not being better. Like, some people don't even know they're doing it. If you just saw it modeled, it's kind of like being brainwashed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way you've always known.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think there comes a point, you know, like when you're an adult, you kind of have to look at it and go, you know, you're not innocent when you're 45 hitting your wife because your daddy hit your mother.
Yeah.
Like, you're an idiot and you
Yeah.
should have your ass kicked. And like, that's just straight the way it is. And if we had more of a vigilante justice sense about us,
Mm-hmm.
I think there would be less domestic abuse.
Yeah. That's the way it used to work. I
Like,
think.
if a woman accused her husband of hitting her, and it could be proven that he did that, or was found out, 3 dudes should be able to take shots at him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, within reason, but they should be able to. And it's like, okay, you can hit her again, but you have 6 more fists coming at you next time.
Sure.
So we don't do that.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, they would check themselves and go, wow, I really want to punch my wife in the face, but I know I got 6 other hands coming at me if I do. You know, because people like that, they want to get away with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want consequence. It's like a crime of opportunity. If the opportunity is there, you do it because you think you can get away with it.
Yeah.
If you're pretty sure that you're not going to get away unscathed, you're going to second guess doing it. You know,
True.
if you walk here in Texas into a store and you're planning on shooting the place up, and you know a lot of people open and conceal carry, you don't know how many people in a store are carrying a pistol on them
Mm-hmm.
of any caliber. And that's why I don't open carry. If there's somebody walking in to do that, one, I don't want to be the first target and not know what they're about to do. But second, I want to keep them guessing.
Yeah.
I want them to wonder who they don't know. And they're like, because they don't want to get shot and die, generally.
Yeah, exactly.
They just want to get away with what they're doing. And if they don't want to get hit, so, you know, they don't like pain, it hurts. So
There's a quote about that. Who said that? They said an armed society is a polite society. Maybe
Yeah.
it might have been Benjamin Franklin or something. I don't know. I don't know if it was Benjamin Franklin, but
or one of the Gracie brothers
yeah.
and jiu-jitsu family.
Yeah, I've always wondered though. So that I want to go down that road because, like to your point about, if you know everybody that is armed, or if anybody's armed, where you're going to go shoot up the place. So for example, the school shooting thing, like a lot of people are screaming that, well, we need to arm the teachers, or we need to have veterans arm the schools and things like that.
Armed security, yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, maybe that would be a good deterrent. But one thing I haven't heard talked about is anybody that's going to go in and do a mass shooting, kids, whatever, anybody that's going to murder anybody is already lacking, right? They're not thinking clearly. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
They're either don't feel loved and appreciated. There's something their needs aren't being met, and
Rejected, outcast, separate.
right. And it's led them to create, to desire to do something so horrific.
Yeah.
So the one thing I haven't heard talked about is, I think oftentimes if you're in a bad enough place to get there, a lot of those same people don't care about their lives either. They don't care that they're going to die.
Yeah.
The
extreme ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
Well, they don't value your life, and they don't value their own. It's like, oh, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, what if you hate yourself? Well, why would you not hate your neighbor?
Right.
In that case, don't treat me as you treat yourself.
Right.
Treat me better than you treat yourself.
Yeah. Let's turn it up a couple notches for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I wonder about that. But I think maybe arming them you could stop the threat quicker.
Oh, it would definitely decrease the threat, because most people who are going to do something like that, they're going to second guess. If I walk into a store with my gun and I know there's going to be 20 more pointing at me, like, unless I don't care if I die, and I'm one of those who are too far gone anyway, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
The real crazies, they're out there. But there's a lot of them who, if they know they're going to have 20 guns pointing back at them, like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't do it.
But I can't think of any time where a mass shooter got away with it. You don't hear about a mass shooting and them go, we're still looking for him, for more than a day or two.
Not generally.
It's like, yeah, remember that 3 years ago, we still can't find him. Like, they almost all end in the shooter getting shot.
Yeah.
So
and it should, in my opinion. If you're going to go do that to innocent people, you should be shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got to stop the threat. And it's like,
yeah, because number one, you have to stop the threat. Yeah. And that usually involves shooting them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that mass shooters by now know, well, because of all the precedent, they know that they're going to die when they do this. And I don't think that they care.
Yeah.
I don't think that they care. I think that they
It's like suicide bombers. They're like, hey, I'll get in the news over this, or I'll die for a cause I believe in.
Yeah. I'll be famous for a few weeks, and
the world will hate me.
Yeah, maybe they don't feel like their life's worth living anyway. They just want to take some people with them.
Yeah, which is a really sad state. I can't imagine being in that state. Like, I don't know what that's like. Like, I've been through bad stuff, but I can't imagine being in that state of mind where I would do that and not care if I die or about anyone else. Yeah. That to me is so foreign and like, I try to understand it, because if you don't understand your enemy, they might get one over on you. So you have to be able to be somebody. You can't just say, "Oh, I can't imagine what they were thinking." You have to be able to try to imagine, or else your ignorance might get you taken advantage of, and someone might sneak up behind you when, well, you should have known your enemy. Why didn't you? So there's a kind of a balance there.
I don't know why, that just reminded me of something, but I follow this person on Instagram. He's a public figure. I think he's a retired Navy SEAL or something like that. He's an alpha guy. He's always working out. He runs this course for men that basically put them through buds.
Okay.
They put them through just hell. And as we know, that going through a struggle like that, you learn a lot about yourself and
teamwork, struggle with other guys, form bonds, friendships. Yeah.
And the things that you learn during that, you can enhance your life. So he does a lot of good work like that. He'll get on every once in a while and kind of do a quick video like, "Hey everybody, it's me, and I just want to give you this quick tip. Here's a motivational tip, or here's a little survival tip, or whatever." It's a great page. But one day he got on and he was talking about and he responds to every comment. I got to tell you that part. He responds to every comment, wow. Right? So he gets on and he's saying, "Hey guys, I'm out here on my morning run this morning. I noticed something. I wanted to get on here. I wanted to tell you guys about it. Just quick tip. I was behind a restaurant doing my run, and I saw a waitress behind the restaurant. She's on her phone. She's just like in her phone. She's vaping. She had no idea I was nearby, and luckily I had no ill intentions. But if I did, I could have easily nobody was there. She was putting herself in danger by not kind of paying attention to her surroundings.
No situational awareness at all.
Yeah, so that was his message. He's like, so just so you know, when you're out in public, pay attention to your surroundings. Make sure that you're, keep your head on a swivel type of thing.
Yeah.
Great message. But he's making that video in public on his phone. And so
Is he aware who might be behind
Yeah,
him?
so
Watching?
so I write in the I don't comment a lot, but I write, and everybody's in the comments like,
Of
hey,
course, he might be able to see behind him in the mirror of the phone, kind of.
maybe, I don't know.
So you wrote a comment, yeah.
So everybody in the comments is like, great message, man. You're spot on. I love this page.
In general,
blah, blah,
not
blah.
bad advice, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good message. But I like to call out hypocrisy when I see it. So I said, hey, respectfully, I love your page. I love this is a great message. However, aren't you doing kind of the same thing, making this video out in the open like that?
You're her, just one layer removed in a different scenario.
Yeah. So I think there was something, there was over 100 comments. He responded to them all. Mine kept disappearing. And so
I think he was deleting it?
Yeah, so I'd write it again.
Oh, come on.
And I'd write it again.
You need a bunch of yes men?
I did it about
Big old
5
tough Navy
times.
SEAL guy?
Yeah, and it's like, I think we've talked about this before. It's like, look, if you mess up, we're all human. If you mess up, just own it. Like
yeah.
Maybe he could have gone in there and said, hey, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Whatever.
That's another lesson point, though, that he could have taken. Hey, you know what? That Daniel guy's comment, he's right, and he made a good point. That even though we're teaching something, sometimes we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's another lesson. Like, he didn't have to save face if he owned it and went, hey, you don't have a bad point there.
Or he may have had a good reason. He could have said, oh, yeah, you know what? I've got these 2 other guys with me. I asked them to watch my 6 while I made the video. I don't know.
Or maybe he's looking around the whole time as he's doing, like, there's so many variables.
Yeah.
But it kept disappearing, though, huh?
It kept disappearing.
That's weird.
I think I tried 4 or 5 times, yeah.
Someone was actively deleting your comment.
Yeah. It's like, oh, shit, he's right. I can't have somebody
See, I don't trust
people. I
people.
was wrong.
See, I don't trust people like that. Like, I know a lot of guys who are, like, Special Forces, Navy SEALs, because I do a lot. I have a number of friends. Most all of them are great dudes. But, man, there have been a couple, they were, like, in particular, they happen to be Navy SEALs, which all my friends who are SEALs are great people. But it's like they would kind of ride on the coattails of that past title, and they weren't real ethical with that.
Yeah.
Because people put them on such a pedestal, and yeah, they're badasses, but it's almost like nobody really questions them, and for one of them that doesn't have a lot of integrity, they can really take advantage of a situation. Because usually people aren't going to challenge them if they know, what they used to be. Yeah. Which I love what one of my business and speaking mentors, Larry Winget, says. He goes, you know what? Nobody cares how good you used to be. And so whenever I meet other veterans and or maybe a guy like that, it's like, hey, great, that's cool, you did that. What have you done over the past 15 years after you're done with that?
Yeah.
No one really cares about how good you used to be. It's like, what are you doing now? And I think people who act like that, they're not doing much, or they're not on a mission right now.
Yeah. My only real close experience with Navy SEALs was one of the Army schools I went to. We had 5 SEALs in the same class. So we were all mixed in the same class, and there was 5 SEALs. It was like, oh, cool. I was like a private, and it was like, oh, these guys are SEALs. That's awesome. The Army school is a 3-week course, and those guys lasted 2 days. They got kicked out 2 days, within 2 days. Yeah, because they wouldn't show up for formation. They weren't following the rules. They're like, oh, we're SEALs. They'll, whatever.
They're used to being able to do what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
See, that right there, though, like, I understand, like, that cavalierness, kind of do your own thing. That can call your own shots. That can really come in handy in certain situations. But also, it's like, oh, you don't know when to follow when you need to.
Mm. Yeah.
That's a black eye for guys like that. Because that's more ego than anything. Like, oh, you don't know how to follow directions when you need to follow directions.
Yeah.
There's a
place.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time when you got to call the shots, maybe in combat, on the spot, in the moment. You've got to be able to do that. But you're not listening to people who outrank you, even though they're in a different service, and you're in this school, so you're under their authority.
Yeah.
Like that right there is more of an embarrassment, I would say, to like the SEAL community than anything. Is because you got to have both. But if you can't follow directions when you need to, I don't know, like unless it's leading to something bad. But if you're just like, yeah, we don't care, you're just kind of an idiot. I don't care what your title is.
Yeah.
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 And I wouldn't
it's a good
trust
example
that.
of like ego kind of getting in the way.
I wouldn't trust that person either.
Right.
Like, what are you gonna do if stuff gets bad? Are you gonna like steal my ammo or something? When you run out of yours, or looking out for number one. It sounds like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I just thought that was kind of funny.
They probably just went back to the unit and they're like, "What in the world?" And well, you're a SEAL, so it's kind of like you're so much is invested in you, and you've kind of proven a lot in a certain way. At that point, what are they gonna do? Like,
yeah, you just didn't pass the school. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Man, that time flew by. We're already running up on on our deadline here.
Yeah.
So, you have anything else you wanted to talk about today before we go?
Yeah, it was just kind of sporadic today. Talk about music, propaganda, learning language, military a bit.
We've got a great episode coming up soon, though. We were talking about before we started recording this one. We've got a pretty cool video. We both watched this video recently. You want
to explain it?
It was a good.
I don't know if we'll be able to do it. We might get shot down by YouTube if we show it. But
yeah, I don't want to ruin it because because we want folks to tune into the next episode. But basically, the topic is going to be it's human behavior. There was a social experiment done about learned human behavior. There's been a few social experiments, but we're going to try to share this one. If not, we can describe it. And
basically, do you do things because everyone else is doing it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like your grandmother used to say. If your friends jumped off a bridge, would you jump off one too?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I think a lot of people would.
A lot of times you would, yeah. So, tune in for that one. It's going to be a longer episode, probably. We're going to probably cover a lot on that.
At the very least, we'll describe the scenario of the video.
Yeah, we're going to try to play it for you. It's an awesome watch. Or maybe we can, if we can't play it, maybe we can give a link in the comments or something.
Yeah, in the show notes, we'll put a link to it.
Yeah. So, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, if you have questions, make sure you send us an email at questionsoboutlifepodcast@gmail.com. Leave us a rating and review, hit the stars, and leave a comment and review. Let us know. And send us an email. Let us know what you would like us to talk about. If you have a question about something that you want us to discuss, we would love to drop that in here and just start talking about it and see what comes about. So just send that to questionsoboutlifepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. And by the way, if you disagree with anything we say, we'd love to hear from you too. We always like hearing differences of opinions. Maybe you can change our mind. We try to remain open-minded. So
yeah, absolutely. Right on. We will see you in the next episode.